This is Jocko Podcast number 219 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
The train station is very busy. Tata says the train cars they are using are called cattle cars, which are usually used to transport animals or dry goods. Every day, more cattle cars arrive and get filled completely. As each train leaves, I wonder where it is going and hope it is somewhere wonderful. When our name is finally called, it is our turn to load up on the train. We are packed in like preserved pickles in a jar. Once the car is filled with 60 to 80 people, they lock the doors. The car has no seats or toilets and no water. There are small openings at the top of the car to provide air, but only those tall enough can see out, and the openings do not provide enough ventilation. I am not tall enough to see out, so I have no idea where we are or where we are headed. It is colder than usual this April and hard to stay warm, even packed together like sardines. The train does not stop for any reason, so we ride and ride for a few days, standing all the while. Mama, Aunt Lee, and Tata try to comfort us children. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I try not to cry or complain. I want to show Mama and Tata that I am big girl now. A group of men read their Bibles and quietly recite prayers. The cars get stinky because of the poor ventilation and no toilets. I don't understand why we are treated this way. The looks of panic on the faces of the adults and the cries of the younger children unsettle me. At long last, the train finally slows down and comes to a stop. The door is unlocked, and a man in a blue and white uniform climbs into our cattle car and tells us we are in Auschwitz, Poland. Auschwitz. And I don't know if there is a name in the world that conjures up more vile and a more evil part of human nature than Auschwitz. Auschwitz was a concentration camp in Poland, established and operated by the Nazis who occupied Poland at the time. It had been a Polish army barracks, but the Nazis converted it into a prison. Initially, it was used for political prisoners. And the camp quickly became a sadistic nightmare. And in the 5 years that it was functioning, 1.3 million people were sent there. And 1.1 million of those died. And that number includes 15,000 Soviet prisoners of war. It includes 21,000 Romani people. It includes 74,000 Polish people. And it includes 960,000 Jews. 865,000 of whom were sent to the gas chambers and murdered immediately upon their arrival at Auschwitz. And many of those who were not gassed died of disease, of starvation, of exhaustion, of vicious beatings, of medical experiments, or of just individual executions. Unspeakable horror, worse than you can even imagine. An actual hell on earth created by people. But in that nightmare, in that evil story of sadism and anguish and torment, there are also stories of hope, stories of sacrifice, stories of love, and stories of survival. And it is an honor to be able to share one of those stories with you today. The opening that I read is from a book called Two Who Survived: Keeping Hope Alive While Surviving the Holocaust. The story of Rose and Max Schindler, which was documented by M. Lee Connolly. And it is an honor to have Rose Schindler with us here today to share her story. Rose, welcome, and thank you so much for coming on.
I want to say it's a tremendous thing that you're doing, okay? Because there are so many people that have no idea what happened to us during the war. So thank you very much for doing this.
Well, I hope we can share and educate people on what you went through, on what your family went through, and on what happened to millions of people. And, I got lucky because you were doing a speech here in San Diego, and my wife went to see you. And my wife came home and said, darling, you have to get this woman on your podcast. And immediately, she told me, and we were able to connect through your son, Ben. So, she brought home the book. I read the book in a day and just tried to make this happen as quickly as possible. So thank you for coming. And like I said, the name of the book is Two Who Survived. And as I always have to tell people on the podcast, I'm not going to read the whole book. You can order the book, and we'll put out word at the end of how to do that. But you have to get this book to get the whole picture. We'll go through some of the points of it today. But it's a phenomenal book. It reads very easily. The language is great. It sounds like you read it like you're telling a story, which is exactly what it sounds like. That's how it's written. That's how it comes across. And so the book is called Two Who Survived, and I'll jump into reading some of it right now.
Okay.
My name is Rosie Schwartz. I'm 8 years old and in third grade. I like to tell stories. I was born on December 28th, 1929, the fourth child in a family of 6 girls and 2 boys. Hayusara is 15. Yutki is 13. And their names, English names is Helen and Judy. Fischl, or Philip, is 11. Petchu is 5. Blimchu is 3. Faye is 2. And Meyerbeer is just a baby. Mama's name is Regina, or Rivka, and Tata's name is Solomon. Not all families have 8 kids, but many do. My family lives in Czechoslovakia, and we learned to speak Czech in school. Mama and Tata learned Hungarian in school when they were my age. After World War I in 1918, the government changed from Austro-Hungarian Empire to the democratic Czechoslovakia. Sometimes when the government changes, the official language changes too. That is when our language changed from Hungarian to Czech. Since now it's 1937, it's been almost 20 years, and Tata says everyone is used to speaking Czech. So what language were you speaking at home at this time?
Yiddish.
Yiddish. And that's why you got the Yiddish names.
Right.
Trying to force me to try and say Yiddish names,
yeah.
Which I'm not great at.
You're not perfect, but you're great.
Okay, I'll take that. And eight people in the family. Or is that 8 kids?
Right, 8 kids. 10 people in the family.
And you say this, my parents say the Czech government is good to us. Everyone has equal rights, and my family does all we can to be good citizens. Neighbors help each other and are always friendly. We speak Hungarian and Czech with our friends. Ukrainian is also a similar language and is spoken by many. Because we are Jewish, we speak Yiddish, the language of our faith, at home. My father's sister, Aunt Lee, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Aunt Lee lives with us. Her husband died in the First World War when her son was only 17 years old, and he decided to move to the Holy Land, leaving her by herself. Now, what's interesting about this is I'm assuming that he fought, her husband fought and died in the First World War.
Right.
I'm assuming he fought for Hungary, which was aligned with Germany.
Right, absolutely. It was Austro-Hungary before the First World War.
There was 100,000 German Jews who served on the side of the Germans in World War I. There was 12,000 German Jews who were killed in World War I fighting on the side of the Germans. And there was 18,000 German Jews that were awarded the Iron Cross in World War II.
I didn't know that.
It showed, the reason that I thought, and I had heard that before, like I told you before we started, I study war a lot and I read a lot about war. And to me, sometimes you hear, the anti-Semitism is this long-standing thing that everybody knew about for a really long time. And yet this is only 20 years prior, you had 100,000 Jews that were fighting on the side of the Germans.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, and that's how quickly things can change if we're not careful.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
You go on here. Since she was alone, my parents invited her to live with our family. Aunt Lee is a seamstress, so she sews all our clothes. When one girl grows out of a dress, it goes to the next sister to use. We call these hand-me-downs.
Right.
We are glad Aunt Lee lives with us because she is a friend with Mama and helps take care of the kids. Mama and Tata are raising us as Orthodox Jews, and we follow the rules faithfully. We always eat foods that are especially prepared to honor Jewish dietary laws called kosher. Each week we celebrate Shabbat on Friday night. Before the holy day on Saturday, we attend synagogue. We believe strongly that God will protect us from anything bad. Our code of conduct says that the way we act in life is how we show our faith. Now that sounds good, except for I got to this part that says, I do not like homework we have to do every evening. I have 3 more years of school before I'm done. I think I'll learn to be a seamstress when I grow up so I can sew clothes for my family. We have a comfortable 3-room house on Main Street. Our kitchen is the largest room of all. The kitchen oven is so big that I could lie down inside of it if I wanted to. One of my favorite things Mama bakes is rye bread. When Mama allows us to have some of the warm bread with melting butter on it, I am the happiest girl anywhere. Mama is strict with us, so we learn how to live good Jewish life, but she's also loving. Even when Mama scolds me, I know she is teaching me how to be good. I want to be like Mama when I grow up. Because our family has many children, every room in our house has beds. The bed in the kitchen is at the far end near the pantry. This is where my 2 brothers, Fischl and Meyerbeer, sleep. The living room has 2 beds where all 6 of us girls sleep. I sleep with Yutki and Faye in 1 bed. I don't mind because I am small and there's enough room. Faye needs a big girl to sleep next to her because she gets scared easily. Hayusera sleeps with Pechu and Blimchu. So you guys are making good use of the real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this and again, I'm skipping through a bunch of this book so people can read it on their own, but really it just is it paints a very kind of idyllic picture of this beautiful family all living this, nice, quaint life. You say here every night we light the house with kerosene lanterns that give the house a golden glow and a special smell. We are cozy and warm in the house on the cold winter nights. Our water pump is a modern metal hand pump that pumps water up to the spigot every time you push the handle down. This is a modern invention you're talking about there?
Right. Uh-huh.
Because you mentioned some of the other families still had the bucket that you're dropping into the well.
We had a well.